Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto. What if Naruto had gravity control? Part 2. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please do support for more awesome content and also hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends. And also support the creator of this fanfic. I have created many playlists, check it out in the channel. So let's start the video. Yahiko knelt before the Sannin and bowed. Please teach me ninjutsu. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. We should just kill the boy. Tsunade and Jiraiya gasped at their teammates' emotionless resolve. Yahiko was frightened. I have seen many war orphans such as him. They all die tragically. We should just end his misery. Enough, Orochimaru. The white-haired ninja yelled. We'll bring the boy back to Konoha. But Jiraiya. Tsunade protested. He's homeless. Jiraiya concluded. Where is our conscience? Has the war really turned the two of you into monsters? Killing needy children? Are you listening to what the two of you are saying? The blonde and the dark-haired ninja averted their eyes bitterly away from their teammates' stern gaze. We'll bring him back to Konoha. Don't worry. I'll make him my student. I'm going to step down as a field commander from now on. Orochimaru widened his eyes in shock. What? The three of us are the only capable generals within the ranks of Konoha's army. Konoha needs us. I have enough of this war. Look what has it made us? Jiraiya raised his volume irascible. Orochimaru, you used to care for the people of Konoha. You might be a cold-ass bastard, but you sure didn't kill the innocents for nothing. Look what happened last week. You sent a platoon of our army into their graves just to make them decoys, and you, Tsunade. Perhaps Dan and Nawaki deaths have affected you, but if they're alive, they would never want you to blame Konoha for the war. I have said what I've wanted to say. I plan to register myself as a Jonin and lead the younger generations. This boy will be one of them. Tsunade and Orochimaru sighed. Whatever you say, Jiraiya. The Tetsu no Kuni, otherwise known as the Land of Iron, was suffering a conundrum. The war that the ninja had initiated had affected the samurai living within their lands. Their leader decided to infiltrate a megakure and kill one of the main perpetrators of the war, Hanzo the Salamander. A group of skilled samurai were deployed to a megakure and instigated the notorious Hanzo. Their plan was to overthrow the conqueror and hopefully reclaim peace for their nation. They were not prepared. Naruto, Konan, and Nagato ventured into the forest at the outskirts of a megakure. Situating themselves comfortably at a spot at the apex of a waterfall, the group set up mats on the ground before they sprawled themselves onto the fabric. Konan eyed the commotion beneath her and sighed. I hope we don't get caught on this. The blonde waved a hand, declining Konan's worriment. Relax, they're more occupied than to care about us. Just be quiet and watch the show from here. Nagato was excited to witness the events that were to unfold before his eyes. Mifune, squad commander of the samurai unit, was sent to eradicate Hanzo. When they arrived at the enemy's terrain, Mifune boldly demanded Hanzo's audience. The leader of a megakure, wielding his kusarigama, stood out onto the battlefield solely. Hanzo's personal guards were isolated away from him, unwilling to stand by their commander. The samurai were confused and had concluded that Hanzo's troops were afraid of them. Their moods were lifted. Without hesitation, they charged blindly at a snickering Hanzo. Adroitly, the leader of a megakure swung his kusarigama at the approaching battalion and retracted his weapon. Blood was spilled, and several samurai were either bifurcated or beheaded. The samurai was astonished, but swallowed their trepidation. They marched forward and gripped the hilt of their blade firmly. Speeding through a series of hand seals, Hanzo delayed his technique and launched a barrage of kunai at the samurai before opening his jaw. Kaiten, Houkaru no Jutsu. The samurai were in disarray from their formation. They knew the kunai was attached with exploding notes, but not all of the projectiles were such. The blazing shots of flames that were spat at them caused even more of a panic to the samurai. Their overconfidence had clouded their judgment and their vigor enervated. Within minutes, most of the samurai had become mutilated corpses or fatally wounded. The fortunate ones carried their fallen comrades away from the battlefield. The samurai finally understood why the ninja were staying away from Hanzo. It's because they were not needed. Why don't you run away with your fleeing allies, samurai? Hanzo narrowed his eyes at the lone warrior who was not even displaying a tinge of fear at him, even after the leader of a megakure's onslaught had decapitated most of the samurai. The warrior stood his ground and scrutinized the situation. His response was quiet, but laced with determination and utmost courage. If I retreat, my men will die. If I fight you, my men will survive. I choose the latter. Even if you will die here? For them? Yes. What a selfless man. This world needs more of him. Still, Hanzo threw his weapon at the samurai, who deflected his assault and rushed towards him. The warrior's katana was pointed towards the leader of a megakur. Ducking from the strike, Hanzo clashed his kusarigama onto the samurai's blade. You will fight for those who betray you? They run away when trouble arises. They abandon you. Your men have forsaken their codes of honor. Why fight for them? I didn't fight for them. I fight for my codes of honor. Hiya. The samurai pushed the leader of a megakur away through brute strength, and Hanzo retreated. I am impressed. Very well, honorable samurai. Gripping the hilt of his kusarigama, Hanzo smirked. Let's end this match then. Let's. The samurai darted forward. Hanzo jumped at his opponent. It all ended in a blink of an eye. The leader of a megakur stood behind the lone warrior, and a moment of perturbing silence intruded. The warrior collapsed onto the ground and clutched onto his bleeding forehead. I have lost. My blade is coated with poison. My poison, to be specific. Hanzo eyed his kusarigama and sighed. Have no fear, the pain will turn into numbness and paralysis. Eventually, you'll die in 2 days' time. In fact, since you're a dying man, I guess telling you a bit about your killer is only appropriate. Think of it as a souvenir for you to take to hell. When I was young, a rare, black salamander appeared in my village. It died, and nobody cared about it. However, I realized that the salamander actually emitted poisonous toxins into the air. Kind of like poison mist. Even though the defeated samurai was fatally injured, he listened keenly. I was a kid when it died. So I dragged its body into my house and carefully dug out the poisonous sag from its body. I took the poisonous sag and implanted it into my body. The black salamander is known for its superior venom. With it in me, I can build up resistance to any poison and make my body toxic as well. Hanzo pointed a thumb at the side of his waist. Here. Right here. This is where the poisonous sag is located. I can envenom nearby people just by breathing on them. The people in my village were terrified of me. That's why, to keep people around me safe, I have to resort to breathing through this mask. If your breath is poisonous, why don't you just take your mask off and kill me? I've considered that. But it will carry a risk. You see, this mask removes that risk for me. Hanzo grinned when the warrior was confused. For example, if I were to rupture the poisonous sag within my body during a battle, the liquid within the sag would spill out and vaporize, subsequently releasing a cloud of poison gas. Even if my body has built up resistance to the toxic, it will still stall me in my tracks. That pause is enough for my enemy to draw out an opening and kill me. I cannot afford that to happen. Against someone like you, I cannot remove the mask. Naruto blanched. Is he a masochist, or what? Implanting a poisonous thingy into his body? Is he out of his mind? Konan signed. He sure has the guts to do that sort of crazy thing. Examining the samurai's broken blade, Hanzo was aloof. Your blade is dull. The defeated warrior painted. A samurai is his blade. That means I am dull, as well. I fear my life ends here. Hanzo arched his brow. One last thing, people's lives don't end when they die. Their lives end when they lose their faith. You can't simply hold that much sentimental value on your blade to think that your soul is synchronized with your blade. Because it is not. Even if you die here by my hands, it doesn't mean you are dull like your sword. If you are dull, you've scampered away cowardly like your men in the sight of carnage. No. I call your comrades who have no intentions to fight dull. The warrior exhaled an exhausted breath, and his bleeding wouldn't stop. He could no longer feel his arms. You stood before me bravely to protect them. The leader of a megakur smirked. When I tell tales of you, I will regard you as a hero. Give me your name in exchange for your life. Promise me something instead. The warrior coughed out blood, but insisted on speaking. In exchange for my life. Go on. Leave my men alone. Those eyes, those fires burning in his eyes, even when he knows he is dying, he still wants to protect his comrade. Remarkable. Hanzo squatted down beside the fallen samurai and rummaged his pocket before picking out a bottle of antidote. This is a medicine that I brew myself to counter my poison. Take it. Drink it. Do whatever you want with it. The shock within the samurai's eyes was evident, and Hanzo sighed. Like I said, faith is important to a person's life. You can't tell if a person's faith just by looking at them. But you can tell what their faith is when you fight them. and I haven't fought someone like you for a very long time. I have 3 apprentices, and one of them resembles you very much. Determined to protect his comrade and willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good. Feeding the samurai a few drops of his antidote, Hanzo stood up. Remember, taking this antidote doesn't guarantee anything. I've saved you this time, but what lies ahead is not for me to decide. Frankly, it's difficult to crush one's faith. I have faith in myself. I plan to bring all the 5 elemental nations together as one unified country. That way war will not occur and peace will arrive. I'll test my faith in you. Will it be death while still holding on to one's faith, or living a long life forgetting one's faith? Think about it. Mifune. Hanzo stopped in his steps. That's my name. Great fight. Boring speech. Naruto pouted as he stood up and stretched his body. Nagato concurred. Boring it might be, it's motivating regardless. Konan then spotted something abnormal on the other side of the waterfall. Hey, did you see that? There's someone there. The blonde shifted his eyes lazily at the directed location the blue-haired girl had pointed. He was astounded by Konan's discovery. What's an old guy doing there for? You think he is a spy? The redhead of the group asked. Nah. Maybe. Not sure. Let's go check him out. Naruto led his group towards their destination. Ryatenban no Inoki, Sandaime Tsuchikage of Iwagakure, had fought countless battles to reach a rest spot. He was investigating the land of Imegakure personally, trying to explore any advantageous passages for him to bypass in order to infiltrate Imegakure successfully. He had sent his troops to provide intelligence for him, yet none was competent enough to return back to Iwagakure in one piece. However, Imegakure was a solid fortress, constructed by Hanzo to detect the presence of intruders from afar. Currently, he had finally found a place where he could regain his strength without being interrupted by foreign enemies. He did recognize a few chakra signatures at a considerable distance away from him. Fortunately for him, those chakra signatures had faded away. My back is starting to hurt. My body is getting frailer. At this rate, Taijutsu will be out of reach for me. Inoki struggled to rise, but to no avail, was his injured leg allowing him to stand. I was reckless. To let those inexperienced younglings catch me off guard, I'm really thinking about making Katsuchi the next Tsuchikage. When Kuretsuchi-chan gets older, she might become a possible candidate to my throne, as well. There is only one problem though, she dislikes training, even when her veins flow the blood of mine. Averting his eyes sharply to his right, the Tsuchikage bellowed. Who's there? Show yourself. Naruto, Konan, and Nagato emerged from the bushes and chuckled nervously in unison. Hello. What do you want, brats? Konan was worried when he saw the grumpy old man's bleeding leg. You're injured. We saw a man limping into the forest, and we wish to help. We're orphans. Naruto beamed. So don't worry if we're gonna backstab you. 'Cause there's nothing to stab. I can handle myself. Inoki narrowed his eyes at the children and shook his hands. Leave now and don't come back. But why? Konan was perplexed. You're injured. You need our help. I don't need any. Unexpectedly, a ninja descended atop of Inoki and aimed his kunai threateningly at the Tsuchikage. I got you now, senile old fart. Look out! Nagato yelled before he hastily flashed through several hand seals. However, the redhead's action was halted when Inoki clamped his hands together. Separating them slowly, a luminous orb materialized at the epicenter of his hands, and a transparent cube encompassed a glowing sphere, radiating raw power, as Inoki continued to channel chakra into his imminent attack. Foolishness. Ambushing me with such silly tactics. Jinten, Genkai Hikuri no Jutsu. Particle style, atomic dismantling technique. It was too late for the assailant. Inoki shot the illuminating orb at his assaulter, and it flew at unbelievable velocity towards its target. A gigantic white box manifested into existence, trapping the assailant within its space before a devastating explosion occurred. Smoke erupted from within the enclosed box, and soon, the assaulter was pulverized into nothingness. Naruto, Konan, and Nagato gawked at Inoki's display of paramount prowess. Immediately after witnessing the utilization of the Jinten, Naruto pondered. So that's the legendary Jinten. The mysterious handbook mentions that there is a secret behind the art of the Jinten. If he knows how to use the Jinten, he must be the Sandaime Tsuchikage, Ryatenban no Inoki, and successor of the Nidaime Tsuchikage, Mu. I remember that the Nidaime Tsuchikage is a pain in the ass during the war when Kabuto revives him. But to think that I can meet the master of the Jinten myself today is my lucky day. Inoki studied the children and was petrified to notice something. The Tsuchikage recognized those who hailed from the supposedly extinct Shikigami clan, and Konan's glossy blue hair and crimson eyes were distinctive. Still, what truly flabbergasted Inoki were the two boys. Both of them possessed the fabled Rinnegan, and the Tsuchikage could feel the gargantuan amount of chakra stored within both the blonde and the redhead. "Tell me brats, what are your names?" "I'm Uzumaki Naruto." The blonde puffed his chest proudly. "I'm Konan." "Nice to meet you." The blue-haired girl bowed meekly. "Uzumaki Nagato." "It's a pleasure meeting you." The redhead nodded solemnly. Hanzo rested comfortably in his throne and was tending to his paperwork when his guards materialized beside him. "What is it?" "Hanzo-sama, Naruto, Konan, and Nagato have disappeared." The leader of Omegakure sighed. "They will return. Maybe in a month or 2 months, they will come back. But that is all. Return back to your post." It was nighttime, and the shimmering stars decorating the stars were blinking at its viewers. Although immobilized, Inoki had constructed an earth dome with his proficient earth technique, and Naruto promptly set up a campfire. Skewering chickens with sticks, the children stared at the crackling flames while keeping an eye on their roasting meat. Inoki decided to break the silence. "The three of you know jutsu, don't you? Trained by some hermit, I suppose?" "Yes." Konan nodded vividly. "How do you know that, Jai-chan?" "I know many things, little girl." The Tsuchikage stared at the boys in the group and smirked. "And the two of you possess the Rinnegan. But that's just extraordinary. The legend foretells that there will only be one pair of Rinnegan in the world. And if that person who has the Rinnegan dies, he or she shall enter the realm of reincarnation, giving birth to a new pair of Rinnegan. I guess that prophecy is a hoax." Naruto shrugged. "Guess so. And you, boy?" Inoki pointed a finger at the blonde. "You're the leader of the group, aren't you?" Arching a brow, Naruto queried. "What do you mean?" "I mean you lead your group. And to do that, you establish trust in your peers. The first time I meet you, I can tell you have all the qualities a leader should have." Inoki chuckled. "Trust me, I know that from experience." "So what is your occupation, Jai-chan?" Konan smiled. "Me? I'm a ninja, obviously." The Tsuchikage could not reveal his identity to the children and only asked them to refer him to anything they wished. In the end, they called him Gramps, much to his chagrin. He hated to be reminded of his old age. Naruto stroked his chin and analyzed. "Let me see, you are a very powerful ninja and a war veteran. Not to mention, you're a discerning strategist. The fact that we have the Rinnegan and you're not even surprised only tells me one thing. Your strength could be that of a Kage level. And you cherish your family. You probably have a granddaughter." "She's 2, no, 3 years old, right?" Inoki narrowed his eyes and looked at the blonde oddly. "Yes, how do you know that?" Nagato grinned. "Naruto has this strange ability to decipher a person's mentality. And I'm sure it's not his Rinnegan doing the trick. Because my Rinnegan doesn't do that." The Tsuchikage chortled. "You, boy, really have that potential to be an outstanding leader." "That's right. However, the way you can just stare through somebody's soul is downright creepy." Naruto shrugged. "So I've been told." So the redhead stared timidly at Inoki. "Can you teach us jutsu?" Upon registering the statement, the Tsuchikage laughed. "Why must I, brat? I see that the three of you know jutsu. And you, girl, have a great mastery over chakra control. I can tell that your chakra control is already at the level of high Chunin, despite your young age. There is no need for me to teach you anyway. But we only know so much." Konan pouted at Inoki. "We can't defend ourselves with limited jutsu. We need somebody powerful to teach us." "Yeah," Naruto grinned. "Someone at the caliber of a Kage. You're the best candidate, Jiji. Since you're not going to leave, why don't you just do something useful and teach us something?" "Why must I?" The Tsuchikage folded his arms. "If anything, the three of you might be spies trying to gain information from me." Jiji Naruto smirked haughtily. "If we're spies, you would have killed us. Why talk so much nonsense just to disclose our identities, right?" Inoki narrowed his eyes and stared at the insightful blonde. "Perceptive. Nevertheless, you still have to convince me otherwise if you really wish to study under my tutelage." "Then what do you want us to do?" Konan asked, but was irked by the predatory grin plastered on the Tsuchikage's face. Nagato grunted as he washed Inoki's dirtied clothes at the riverbank. Konan was roasting a chicken while Naruto was sitting beside the blue-haired girl. A dreadful scowl was adorning the blonde's features, and the Redeed was perplexed. He had never seen Naruto's serious demeanor before. "Naruto, are you sure doing these mundane jobs for that old man is necessary? I mean, he might be a fluke. It is true that he can use techniques that are outside the normalcy of ordinary elemental chakra, but listen up, Konan-chan, Nagato." Naruto crossed his arms and sat upright. "That old man is Sandame Tsuchikage. He's the current leader of Iwagakure, and his powers are off the charts." "What?" The children were bewildered. "Why didn't you tell us earlier?" "Because it isn't the right time to do so. If he knows that we know of his identity, he might kill us. That's why we're going to act normal and continue acting as fools, trying to get him to teach us jutsu." Konan bit her lower lips. "What do you think he is here for? Is he trying to kill Hanzo-sama?" "No. Killing Hanzo is his objective, no doubt, but that's not what he is here for. Regardless, we will get him to teach us jutsu. Just do as he says, and he'll open up for us." "Are you sure about that?" Nagato queried. "Yes. Don't worry. Just act stupid, and we'll be fine." The blonde smirked. "And I needed him to tell me the secrets of the Jinten." An hour later, Inoki stepped out from the shadows and coughed purposely, catching the children's attention in the process. Naruto, Konan, and Nagato assembled before the Tsuchikage and saluted formally. Inoki grinned at the acknowledgement the children were blatantly providing. "Yellow, you asked me how to prove your worthiness to me, right?" "Yes." Naruto affirmed. "I need to know. We really want to become stronger." Inoki smirked. "Good. Red, do you want to learn from me as well?" "It will be my honor." "And you, Blue?" The Tsuchikage turned his sight to the only girl in the group. "Yes." "Very well." Putting his hands behind his back, Inoki lectured. "To be able to conserve both energy and chakra during battle, which could prove vital in war, one must learn to be invisible. Be invisible to the radar. Be invisible to the target. Be invisible to the enemy. If you're a bright mass of orange, you're the first one to die. Because the bull likes red, and you'll be the eyesore. In war, speed determines everything. In battle, precision determines the outcome. Therefore, to become invisible, I will teach you how to be invisible. However, there is a time limit." "Time limit?" Nagato arched his brow. "That's right. In 3 days. In 3 days' time, if the three of you are able to master this technique, then I will teach you anything you want." Naruto smirked. "Anything?" "Yes." Without threading any hand seals, Inoki muttered. "Misegakure no jutsu. Hiding with camouflage technique." The Tsuchikage became invisible literally. What was truly confounding was not the fact that Inoki blended light to the extremity where it couldn't perceive his frame. It was the Tsuchikage's presence that had vanished instantaneously, which amazed the children immensely. Konan tried to detect any chakra source throughout her vicinity, but she could only sense her friend's presence. "Impossible, it's like I've become non-existent, right?" Inoki guffawed. "Only experienced ninja are able to sense me. It will only be a flicker of presence, but it's so diminished that it is considered negligible. My sensei has mastered this technique to the point that he becomes formless when this jutsu is activated. Also, he can squash his chakra so much that he becomes invisible in a warpath. That is why stealth is an important aspect in a ninja's career. It's what makes us ninja." The children nodded fervently. "Please teach it to us. Don't rush me." Inoki chuckled. "I will teach you the mandatory hand seals. Learn it well. In 3 days' time, I want you to master it. Remember, Misegakure no Jutsu consists of 2 components, becoming formless and hiding one's chakra. Master both components, and I'll determine your worthiness." Konan swallowed nervously. "But it doesn't sound as easy as it will be. That's why if the 3 of you are able to master it within 3 days, I'll teach you anything you want." Inoki grinned triumphantly. "Blue and Red are probably not going to master it within the time limit. It's just impossible, even for someone who possesses the Rinnegan. However, Yellow is a different story. Even for a kid, he carries a strange vibe that does make people think he's hiding something. What an enigma. I'm looking forward to seeing their results." Naruto sat on a patch of ground, enjoying the soothing breeze. He essayed Nagato, who was training diligently at the riverbank, to master their prescribed technique. Nagato's Rinnegan gives him the ability to decelerate time. That's a wrong description to consolidate the true extent of his abilities. Apart from being able to utilize the 6 paths of pain, his Rinnegan allows him to perceive every occurrence in his surroundings faster than ordinary people. His ability to form a retardation of time makes him a dangerous opponent. The blonde blew his fringe off his face and sighed. I wonder what's special about my Rinnegan. Laxly, Naruto twisted his sights to his back and smiled at his 500 clones trying to master Inoki's technique. He had succeeded in depleting a sufficient amount of chakra when he tried to conceal his powers. Morphing their bodies into seamless frames, all of the Naruto clones continued to repress the entirety of their chakra. The blonde smirked as he changed his views to a secluded terrain and was marveled by Konan who, without clones or redundantes, had almost comprehended the theories behind the Tsuchikage's technique. Standing up groggily, Naruto marched to a sequestered spot in the forest. I have another 300 clones mastering the Mokuton ability. Everybody knows earth and water are the Mokuton's primary elements. However, nobody realizes that the Mokuton actually needs 4 elements. The yin release, Inten, is said to create forms out of nothingness, and the yang release, Yoten, can breathe life into forms. In fact, most jutsu requires the Inten to be operative, and many people have been using it subconsciously without knowing. However, Yoten is different. It is the secondary element within the Mokuton. It gives life into both earth and water to form wood. That is why. The blonde arrived at his station and smirked at his hundreds of clones. Compassing a few hand seals, Naruto clamped his hand together and whispered quietly. Mokuton, Makijiki. Wood release, wood locking wall. Wood rose from the ground and enclosed the entire field of clones with a gigantic dome. The blonde grinned at his achievement and inspected the wooden infrastructure cheerfully. To be able to use the Mokuton, one must be aware of Yang's existence and its importance. It seems I have almost mastered the Mokuton. I aspire to master it to the level of the Shodaime Hokage. To do that I have to master his signature technique. Dispelling the technique, the dome crumbled and demolished into debris. Naruto, Konan, and Nagato were grilling food with skewers on a campfire. Inoki was studying a few scrolls, enjoying the blissful silence. Placing the reading materials onto the ground, the Tsuchikage sighed. Yellow, I need to talk to you in private. The blonde blinked before his lips crept up a smile. Okay. Come with me. Naruto stood up and followed the Tsuchikage into the woods. When they had reached an isolated region of the forest, Inoki crossed his arms and furrowed his brows. I know you have already awakened the latent ability of your Rinnegan. I don't know. Don't you dare take me as a fool, Yellow. The Tsuchikage's glare intensified. I have observed you and read for a while now. Between the two of you, you are obviously stronger. And I know you believe his Rinnegan's ability surpassed you. Since you've already known so much, why ask? Naruto directed a cautious gaze at Inoki. You're wrong about what you believe, Yellow. The blonde gasped. You're far stronger than Red. Much more than you could ever imagine. And I know you know who I am. Narrowing his eyes, Naruto gritted his teeth. So you know everything from the start? About what we are and who we're working for. Working for? Your loyalty isn't presented to Hanzo. Inoki chuckled with amusement at a disgruntled Naruto. You might be under his tutelage, but I know your allegiance is misplaced. You're most likely war orphans who have no choice but to serve Hanzo in order to gain a sustainable life. By becoming a ninja, you flourish your powers in order to protect both blue and red. Very selfless you are, boy, I don't see that nowadays. What a pity. What do you mean by that? Naruto growled. What is your point? The Tsuchikage sighed. You do not need to fear if I'll kill you and the children for knowing my identity, because I assure you I will not. However, I am willing to let you come with me to Iwagakure. To serve you and become your war machines? No thanks. Naruto twirled around. Inoki smirked. Red's Rinnegan most likely allows him to perceive everything slowly. However, that is a passive ability. You, on the other hand, are different. I know you have already mastered the legendary Kekkei Genkai, the wood release, right? Naruto widened his eyes in horror. You know? I know many things. That only means one thing, your Rinnegan most likely allows you to master any Kekkei Genkai with ease. Since the birth of the first Rinnegan, the Dojutsu that the Rakudo Sennin possessed, he had mastered every jutsu in the world, including those of the other Kekkei Genkai. Do you know that with the Rinnegan's mystical ability, the Rakudo Sennin was able to channel his chakra to replicate the powers of the Sharingan? Like him, you can do the sort of tasks that others might consider impossible. You mean I can use the powers of the Sharingan and the Byakugan as well? It seems you're quite knowledgeable with the shinobi's affair. Inoki huffed. Makes me wonder who you truly are, Yellow. Naruto quirked his derisive smirk. Just a regular kid surviving an irregular world. Thanks for the information, old man. Consider my proposal. The blonde arched her brow. About? Joining a Wagakure. I promise you that you'll not be treated as war machines, as you have stated. I have a granddaughter, as you have deduced. It will be a pleasure for her to meet you. You know? Something to inspire her to become a powerful kunoichi in the future. Inoki drew out a tired breath. Sometimes that girl drives me nuts. If you join me, you will not regret it. We'll see. The blonde spun around and proceeded to venture back into the campsite. However, Inoki had disclosed something that halted Naruto's tracks. You want to know the secrets of my dust release, don't you? The blonde was rigid in his stance. I'll take that as a yes. Inoki grinned. If you come with me, I promise to take you as my apprentice. If you're worthy enough, I might tell you the secrets to my jinten. Naruto stayed quiet for a bit before he erupted into guffaws. The blonde twisted his head slightly to meet the Tsuchikage's stern gazes and widened his smirk. You don't hold bargaining chips on me. I don't do things the easy way. I'll figure it out myself, one way or another. Inoki watched the boy's distancing frame and nodded in affirmation. He is the one. He is the Messiah. 3 days later. Misegakure no Jutsu. Konan completed the hand seals perfectly, and her chakra was suppressed entirely to the point where her presence had become imperceptible. Her form was translucent though. Inoki nodded his head. Good job, Blue. The blue-haired girl beamed cheerfully. Misegakure no Jutsu. Nagato executed his hand seals faultlessly and had turned his body into an invisible apparition. However, his chakra was quenched to a mere flickering presence and only traceable by superior ninja. The Tsuchikage folded his arms. Great work, Red. Misegakure no Jutsu. Naruto's aura was indiscernible and his frame had become a seamless phantom. Applauding proudly, Inoki grinned. Excellent. The three of you have done better than I've expected. As part of the bargain, you can request anything from me. As long as I can teach, I will teach. However, I will only teach each one of you a jutsu. So think wisely. Konan was startled. But I thought. You thought I would teach you everything? What do you take me for? A charity case? The Tsuchikage rolled his eyes. Now tell me. I don't like to wait, brats. Naruto stood forward. I want to learn the art. Of my dust release? Inoki interrupted. The blonde simply chuckled and wagged a finger disapprovingly. I want to learn the Yoten lava release. Nagato stood forward. I am interested in the Jinten dust release. The Tsuchikage was perplexed. I thought Yellow is interested in my dust release? Why does he want to learn the lava release and then Red wants to learn the dust release? Is this a setup? I read a book somewhere and Konan smiled uneasily. I want to know more about the Kinten metal release. Inoki blinked in astonishment. How do you know the existence of the Kinten? Where did you get that book? I forgot. Konan shrugged. I guess you know about the metal release, don't you? Yes. I am aware of both the Kinten and the Yoten. Are you sure you want to know about them? The children nodded. Red, I have made an oath to my teacher once. I will not teach the Jinten to anybody except my most trusted apprentice. That is why I can only tell you indirectly. As long as you can solve the riddle, you will understand the traits of the dust release. Inoki closed his eyes and recited. The ground shivers as wildfire burns, the wind sweeps down and fuels its fury, but the ground, though burning in agony, retains calmness, as it is, accepting its punishment with no regrets. The ultimate sin lies in its viewpoint. The achievement is done when the mind sees the fragments. The source of life protects the product. What miracle does not obey God's law? Nagato blinked. What? Think about it. The Tsuchikage switched his attention to Konan. The Kinten, huh? That's a challenge. Long ago, back when my village was still a mere wasteland, there was a clan who blended metal at their wills. The clan members were all born with suitable elemental chakra to use the metal release. However, when the First Shinobi World War started, they were the first clan to face extinction. Because their strength was formidable, many villages wished to duplicate the Kekkei Genkai. Nobody succeeded, as of yet. Inoki sat on the ground and sighed. For what I know, the Kinten requires earth and fire elements to forge metal. That is the tricky part. Only those who possess a particular earth element that contain a significant nature of metal can hope to use the metal release. That is why up until now nobody can bring the Kinten back to life. However, I can feel a new era coming to our world. Staring apathetically at Naruto and Nagato, the Tsuchikage pointed a finger at their Rinnegan. You two are going to be the savior of the world. Your eyes will give you the power to use the Kinten. How exactly should you use the Kinten? Well, Yellow, I guess you know the answer. The blonde nodded. I have already gotten the key to unlock other elements. Heh. Yellow, you want to know about Yoten, right? Inoki chuckled before his visage was replaced by a furious scowl. Do you really take me as a fool? You have already mastered the lava release, as well as the wood release. What is your motive, boy? Naruto grinned cheekily. 2 days ago. Listen up, Konan-chan, Nagato. Gigi knows of the fact that we know who he is. Nagato gritted his teeth. Will we be in trouble? No. That is why when he asks us what we wish to learn from him, the two of you must not tell him what you truly want to know. Mislead him. Distract him. I'm going to do something that will extrapolate more information from him. You see, he thinks we're just naive little kids. He believes he's 1 step ahead of us, but the truth is that we're 2 steps ahead of him. One is where we know of his true identity, and the second is where we know his next move. That's why we need to do something. Do something? Konan arched his brow. I have a hunch. You have mastered another path, haven't you? The blonde grinned. Ninjendo, the human path, allows me to read people's memories with 1 touch. It also allows me to remove his or her soul. The latter is a tiny bit disturbing, if I must say. The Redeed gaped. You're planning to kill a cage? No? Obviously not. What do you take me for? Suicidal? I just want to read his memory. I need to confirm something. Besides, that old man's power is limited. He cannot teach Konan-chan how to use her powers effectively. And you, Nagato, he cannot teach you much. I bet he doesn't know much about the Onmyoten. And if I wish to read his memory, I need to make contact with him. It will be awfully suspicious of me if I just shake his hand for no reason. Still with me? So what should we say? The blue-haired girl queried. Draping a hand over the Tsuchikage's shoulder, Naruto flashed an uncanny smirk at Inoki. I'm testing your intelligence. It seems you're not senile, as others think you are. Senile? Inoki's eyebrow twitched vehemently. I am Ryatenban no Inoki, Sandaime Tsuchikage of Iwagakure and Nagato and Konan yelled in unison. Oh. So you're the Tsuchikage. Blinking in confusion, Inoki scratched his head. I am under the assumption that the 3 of you know of my identity. Yeah, the blue-haired girl shrugged. We just want to mess with you. Yeah. Cheer up, Naruto froze in his speech as he suddenly heard noises. It was barely audible from the start, but gradually amplified to an unbearable extent. Inoki, you must lead Iwagakure to a new age. Gigi, I want a lollipop. Tsuchikage-sama, we're under attack. Do me proud, my son. Kuretsuchi-chan, give me back my chopsticks. Behave yourself, Kuretsuchi-chan. Katsuchi, buckle up and become stronger. Han, you'll always be a weapon to Iwagakure. Rashi, mastering the beast within you will make you an asset to our village. I want the shinobi of Konoha to be eradicated in this instance. Don't you dare die on me, buddy. Sensei, I will make you proud as the next Tsuchikage. You should retire, father. Kuretsuchi-chan, don't you dare spit on your food. Naruto convulsed fiercely as he clutched onto his head and fell onto the ground, agitating violently. It hurts. What am I hearing? Are these Gigi's memories? The last the blonde heard was Konan's fading scream. We still can't find the children, sir. A masked ninja said behind his master's back. Stop getting paranoid. Hanzo sighed. They will come back, that's for sure. You seem confident, sir. It's true. I'm certain of it. I have more important businesses at hand. Do not disturb me without my consent. The guard bowed his head apologetically. Understood. I'll take my leave. When Naruto opened his eyes weakly, he was immediately bathed under a bright light. Upon instinct, the blonde covered his eyes with an arm. Are you all right? Naruto arched his brow and adjusted his eyesight to his environment. Inoki, Nagato, and Konan were staring curiously at him. Stop staring at me like that. It's creepy. The Redeed and the blue-haired girl withdraw themselves from Naruto, but Inoki was unyielding. What happened? Surveying the Tsuchikage's facial features, Naruto sighed. You're feeling fear and contempt. Why? Inoki was startled. You're reading my emotions? Is that one of your Rinnegan's abilities? No. Your face is telling me everything. Your eyebrows are raised upwards and pulled together. Mouth is stretched wide. Signs of fear. But the corner of your mouth is crooked. Symbolizes contempt. Naruto concluded. So my question to you is, what's with you? The blonde sat up and assayed Inoki's expression. Ah. Surprise. I see surprise in you. Surprised that I can see your emotions? It's not the Rinnegan, that part is definitely true. Interesting. This boy can read emotions. Micro-expression, an art of detecting emotions from one's face. I only know a few people in this world who are aware of these skills. One of them is me. How interesting. I can't hide my emotions from him. The Tsuchikage narrowed his eyes cynically at the boy. Where did you learn that? Detecting emotions? From years of practice. Naruto smirked before he rubbed his temples. Nasty migraine. Mind giving me some space? I'd really like to rest, alone. Inoki huffed, struggled into a standing posture, and walked away. Konan and Nagato crawled towards their friend and gulped. How are you? Naruto simply grinned victoriously. The plan turns out well. We successfully distracted that old man, and I got the opportunity to read his mind with my new ability. I know everything about Iwagakure and its map. I also know how we can get there if we want. Why do we want to go there? Konan queried. You don't really think we are going to stay here forever, do you? Naruto pinched the girl's chin playfully, and it earned him a pink tint adorning onto the blue-haired girl's cheeks. We're going to leave this place one day. Listen carefully, that old man is leaving soon. He's planning to wipe our memories. What? Nagato yelled, but the blonde ushered him quiet. Just listen to me. He's planning to wipe out all of our memories clean. His plan of teaching us jutsu is just a fraud. He cannot afford to let anybody know that he has arrived in a megakure. I can stop that by storing our memories in a database. Databank? Naruto smirked and formed a hand seal. Spontaneously, a clone materialized beside the trio. I'm going to store all of our memories within this clone. But I'm gonna need your help, Nagato. The Redeed stroked his chin and deduced. Shunshin no jutsu? Yes. I know you can teleport non-living things to another location, right? Naruto jerked a thumb at his clone. This ain't a living thing. That's why I'm gonna store the information into him. Information such as jutsu, memories, and things we learn from the old man is all there. Why don't we just ask your clone to return to our bunker? Nagato questioned. Naruto waved a displeasing hand. Not possible. Jiji has sealed this place up within a 1-mile radius with a barrier technique. Anything that breaches the perimeter will automatically inform Jiji. That is why we must teleport the clone out of here and back to our bunker. We can shut down the barrier, right? Konan asked apprehensively. No. That will alert Jiji as well. It's a pretty great barrier, to be honest with you. The blonde surmised. Nagato wrinkled his nose. How did you know all this? You read his mind? Yeah. I managed to get the information I needed from him, eluding other mundane matters while I'm at it. Still can't control my powers properly though. So Konan tried to ameliorate the ambience with an elated inquiry. How do you feel? How do I feel? Naruto sighed. Like getting a terrible hangover after drinking 10 bottles of rum, that's how I feel. The blue-haired girl pursed her lips before she ruffled the blonde's hair. Just get used to it then, Naruto-kun. Naruto smiled merrily at a jubilant Konan. It seems I'm right after all. The Shikigami clan originates from Iwagakure. And I have already discovered the secrets of the dust release. There is no need for me to solve the stupid riddle then. All I now need is to infiltrate Iwagakure and steal classified scrolls about Kenjutsu for Konan-chan and Nagato. Konan needs to know more about her clan's secret techniques, and I'm going to help her achieve that. It's the least I can do for her. As for Nagato, he's interested in the Onmyoten and sealing techniques. And he definitely has talents for Genjutsu. Something I seriously suck. I think Iwagakure has some scrolls that might help him. Staring at his hands, Naruto sighed. As for myself, I think I might need to visit Konoha soon. After all, the Rinnegan creates the Izanagi, right? If I play my cards right, I might be able to use the Uchiha's Amaterasu, Tsukiyomi, and Susanoo. All I need is a baseline. I need to know how to replicate. No, replicate is not the right word. Retrieve, that's right. I need to know how to retrieve all of the Rinnegan's powers. The blonde couldn't help but let a smirk slip out from his facade. I will master the powers of my Rinnegan, as well as all of the Kekkei Genkai in this world, and then use my newfound powers to create peace. The first place of liberation shall take place in a megakure. A day later. Reporting, sir. Hanzo opened an eye from his meditation and curled an irritated brow. What is it? The children are returning. I told you, didn't I? The leader of Omegakure shut his eyes and raised his volume. Now get out. I got things to do. Understood. Before Inoki commenced with his scheme to cleanse unwanted memories from the children's mind, Naruto slotted a note into his clown's pocket and had Nagato teleported it back into their hideout. The plan ran smoothly, and the children were in a trance after the Tsuchikage performed his technique. Inoki snuck out of Omegakure swiftly afterwards. When they reached their bunker, Naruto was puzzled by the existence of an unregistered clone standing within their chamber. The clone rummaged his pocket and handed a paper to the blonde. Boss, this is the note that you want me to give to you. Note? Naruto was confused as he seized the note and unfurled it before skimming through the content. Without hesitation, the blonde dispelled the clone and brilliant essences scattered all over the bunker. Amongst the children, only Naruto screamed when a gargantuan amount of memories flickered consecutively within his mind. His eyes were glowing off an effulgent violet as he remembered the past experiences clearly. Coughing in exhaustion, Naruto was gasping for breaths. Konan patted the blonde's back and was frightened by Naruto's sudden distress. Are you alright, Naruto-kun? I'm fine. An ominous shadow, casted by his golden bangs, hid the blonde's eyes. We should rejoice. Go celebrate with Nagato. I'll go take a rest and join you later. But. Just do it, Konan-chan. Naruto smiled. I'm fine. Really? Okay if you say, so Konan fidgeted her fingers before she went to check on Nagato. The blonde simply grinned as his plan reached a beneficial fruition. While the blue-haired girl and the Redeed were celebrating joyously, Naruto jumped onto his bed and secretly grabbed a black notebook that he had concealed under his bed. Flipping open an allocated page, the blonde browsed the content with a shrewd smirk. His Rinnegan was illuminating a sinister vermilion. I won just like how I planned. Once I master all of the other elements, my powers will stand beyond the realm of any ordinary cage. Staring impassively at his hands, Naruto's eyes were glimmering unwavering resolve. Those who see evil and do nothing are what make this world dangerous. The world must change, so I'll change it. Naruto-kun, Naruto-kun. The blonde snapped his attention at Konan, who was concerned about Naruto's mentality. What is it, Konan-chan? You're babbling about some evil stuff and how to change it. Are you alright there? Chuckling anxiously, Naruto waved a hand at the blue-haired girl. Yeah. I'm fine. I'm just thinking how evil the coffee machine is, you know? It spills coffee everywhere. It's evil, you know? I'm thinking about changing to a new coffee machine. Need to ask Hanzo for his opinion to change the evil coffee machine. Yeah. Evil coffee machine. Okay, Konan beamed gleefully. Do you need me to accompany you? You know, asking Hanzo-sama to change your evil coffee machine? Nope. I can handle it. Just go celebrate. Whatever you say. The girl kissed the blonde on his cheek before she skipped to the Redeed. Naruto simply blinked dumbly at his situation. Well shit. I sure love her more than I love Sakura-chan, that's for sure. 6 years later. The Akatsuki unit composed of Konan and Nagato and governed by its squad commander Naruto were, as a team, undefeatable, and its operation was solely dictated by Hanzo. Conquering territories throughout the outskirts of Omegakure and the lesser cities, they were infamously formidable. Their uniform was simply a distinctive black cloak which consisted of a high collar and red cloud emblems imprinted on the dark fabric. What was surprising about the Akatsuki unit was the fact that the trio were 15 years old. Currently, Naruto was confronting Nagato in a training terrain. Naruto, do me a favor. Don't show me mercy. The Redeed said monotonously. I don't want to defeat a man who will throw excuses at me for being a softie. Cocky now, aren't you? Just because you mastered your Rinnegan doesn't mean your eyes are more powerful than mine. Naruto flexed his fingers and cracked his neck. Let's see how much you have improved since last month, shall we? Nagato aimed his palm at the blonde and muttered. Bansho Tenon. Heavenly attraction of all creations. Being pulled aggressively by a sudden gravitational force, Naruto soared towards the Redeed, but had improvised a plan for this exigent situation. Speeding through hand seals, Naruto clamped his hands together and smirked. That trick isn't going to work on me. Futen, Kairing Kiri no Jutsu. Boil release, murderous mist technique. Inhaling deeply, Naruto blew out a scorching mist of virulent toxins at Nagato. The Redeed widened his eyes in terror as he witnessed a poisonous gas fly at him at unimaginable velocity. Drat. The Bansho Tenon is giving Naruto's jutsu more speed. Naruto had this all planned out. He knew I'd drag him towards me at the start of the fight. He predicted my first step. Damn it. I still have 3 more seconds. No time to use Shinra Tensei to counterattack. That leaves me no choice. The Redeed pierced the ground with his hands and bellowed. Konan, Kajin Heki. Steel release, steel encampment wall. A colossus dark wall, composed purely of the steel element, rose from the ground and shielded Nagato from being infected by the mist. The toxic gas could permeate onto the durable wall, but was incapable of melting it. Naruto had anticipated his friend's movements and formed a single-hand seal. The Konan is made purely for defense. It has neither an offense mechanism, nor does it have any vicious techniques. But its defense is top-notch. That's why only a few jutsu are able to decimate the steel walls. Kinton, Hyapoyari no Jutsu. Metal release, 100-step spears technique. Seemingly an infinite amount of silver spears materialized before the steel wall and charged at the target's direction, penetrating through Nagato's defense. Leaping into the sky, the Redeed, without performing any hand seals, made a mouthpiece with his fingers and grinned. It is true that only the metal release is capable of destroying the steel release. After all, the Kinton is the Kotan's nemesis. Now, prepare yourself. Kaiten, Gonkyu. Fire release, Great Flame Sphere. Naruto promptly thrusts both hands forward and yells. Suiton, Koka Sujin. Water release, Drilling Water Vortex. The Inferno and the Liquid Hurricane collided, causing a devastating aftermath as the explosion shook the entire field. Without delay, Nagato cast numerous hand seals and declared them aloud. Raiten, Raijin no Shigeki. Lightning release, Thunder God's Shockwave. The smoke stirred violently, and there was the mirage of an enormous demon descending from the sky. Following Nagato's command, the diabolical entity morphed into a sphere of crackling electricity before it was launched at Naruto. The blonde was unfazed nevertheless. He tugged his hands into his pockets, stood confidently upright, and an impish grin curled up at his lips. You should know better than to use Raiten on me. Futon, Indian Boy Tatsumaki. Wind release, Great Defense Tornado. The weather darkened ominously as the phrase was articulated. The wind started circulating around Naruto before the swirl reacted furiously, and a humongous typhoon emerged, protecting the blonde as an impenetrable sanctuary. The thunderous attack proved to be futile as the wind nullified any opposing assault. Don't be an idiot. My strongest element within my control is the wind. I know. Nagato had completed the mandatory preparation for his real attack. That was just a distraction. This is the real deal. Registering the Redeed's intention, Naruto growled. I'm not gonna let you. Futon, Kuroi Taifu. Wind release, Black Typhoon. The twirling hurricane that was protecting the blonde had switched to offense. Massive tendrils of dark wind blitzed forward and threatened to engulf Nagato. Squatting calmly, Nagato placed a finger onto the pavement. It's too late. Onmyoten, Shinigami no Kage Shimetsu. Yin-Yang release, Death God's Shadow Annihilation. The Kenjutsu that destroys anything that possesses a shadow, how troublesome. Naruto's wind was dispersed abruptly, and the blonde didn't hesitate to retreat. You're seriously trying to kill me, aren't you? Of course not. That's just to scare you. Why will I use a S-class instant kill jutsu on you? Don't be silly. That's a distraction, as well. A sinister grin slowly crept up at Nagato's lips as he appeared behind Naruto and clutched onto his shoulder firmly. Got you now, Naruto. Meijin, Jigoku no Asobigezo. Demonic illusion, Hell's toying image. The blonde regretted looking at the Redeed's eyes. Ah shit. Naruto's vision was enveloped into only black and white, and his location warped into a stadium. The blonde caught a glimpse of his feet and felt flames searing his feet. Immobilized by the illusion, the blonde had no choice but to suffer the torment of being burned alive. Grunting in agony, Naruto's body was degraded into paper. Shutting his eyes, the blonde concentrated immensely and groaned. Damn it, this is more painful than the real thing. Kai. Release. Don't be foolish. My illusion is unbreakable. Yeah, but nothing is unbreakable. Naruto grinned and opened his eyes. The illusion crumbled like shattering glass, and Nagato was dumbstruck. What the hell? How? Willpower. The blonde dissipated his frame into nothingness, and the Redeed gritted his teeth in exasperation. Shit. Naruto's trademark technique. Spontaneously, Naruto had positioned a kunai at the Redeed's neck. Glad you know. Putin, Gakure no Jutsu. Wind release, hiding behind the wind technique. I lost. Nagato sighed. Don't you find your winning style kind of cliché? You know? With the whole I point my sword at your neck dingy. Then you want me to aim my kunai on your dick the next time I win? The Redeed blanched and shoved the blonde's hand away. You're sick. We all are. Naruto beamed. Dinner is ready. Stop playing already. Naruto and Nagato swerved, and their sights landed on a cheerful Konan who was clad with violet-colored sleeveless shirt, which embellished her voluptuous curves blatantly, and she had black leggings that displayed her slender pair of legs. Donning a pink apron, the blue-haired woman waved her bouillon spoon at the boys. I will prepare your favorites. Spicy ramen and miso ramen. Eat it while it's hot. Naruto smirked jubilantly. Ramen? That's officially the best news I got for today. Let's eat. The blonde yelled and snatched his chopsticks. Konan slapped Naruto's hand and mocked an angry expression at the blonde. Manners? Sorry. Naruto shrank and was unsatisfied with redundant table etiquette. Can't you be more like Nagato? He has his manners, you know. If you like him so much, why don't you marry him? The blonde winked teasingly at the blue-haired woman, who was flustered as she clenched her fists. The atmosphere shifted dolefully. You know Nagato and I are just friends. The Redeed deadpanned. You shouldn't joke like this. You know who Konan clearly likes, don't you? Naruto blinked dumbly, oblivious of his friend's intention. Does Konan-chan like somebody? Who? Nagato slapped his forehead. Is he pretending, or is he really dumb? Yahiko and his platoon of Konoha ninja were dispatched to Megakure in order to infiltrate Hanzo's lair and assassinate the ruler. Their journey was uneventful, as they had to fend off countless hazardous traps that were placed ingeniously throughout the forest. It was as if their enemies had forecasted their pathways and had implanted various ambuscades inconspicuously. He had already lost a few soldiers, and they weren't even fighting a single enemy. It was aggravating and insulting for Yahiko's pride. Impetuously, the orange-haired jonin of Konoha rushed towards Hanzo's fortress. Nagato perked his head up as noodles were dangling at the edge of his lips. What is it, Nagato? Konan's brow rose. Someone crosses over the boundary. We got enemies at 6. The Redeed announced. Should we do something about it? Nah, Hanzo will take care of it. Look at it this way. Our house is at the mountaintop right beside the fortress. It's a subterfuge to lure enemies to attack the fortress first. They won't realize that we're here. Naruto crossed his hands and smirked. Nagato and I painted invisible seals all over the house, as well as the mountain. Anybody dare walk the mountain, and the seals will signal both me and Nagato. In other words, Hanzo is just a bait to give us time for preparation. Besides, it was Naruto and I who devised those traps within the forest. The Redeed interjected. Hanzo has already been alerted. Konan shrugged. If that's the case, do the dishes then. What? Naruto pointed an accusing finger at Nagato. I have done the dishes for a week now. It's Nagato's turn. I don't care. The blue-haired woman affirmed. One of you will do the dishes. But we have enemies on our doorsteps. The blonde panicked. Wagging a finger at Naruto, Konan stuck her tongue out. You've already said Hanzo-sama is the bait. That's why we're safe up here. Therefore do the dishes. Naruto lowered his head in defeat. Yes, Konan-chan. Switching her attention to Nagato, who was already making his escape via the window, Konan growled. Don't you dare get out of this house, Nagato. Wipe the dishes clean after Naruto-kun is done with his chores. Nagato sighed melodramatically. Damn. An hour later. Hanzo, dressed in his battle outfit, was grinning malevolently at a panting Yahiko. Standing behind the orange-haired ninja was an army of weakened Konoha ninja who had depleted their chakra reserve in their arduous battle against a leader of a Megakure. Hanzo adjusted his breather and scratched his temples absently. Give up, Konoha ninja. You are only seeking death here. Return to your nation now, or I'll show you no mercy, Yahiko of the Rain. The jonin grabbed his kunai and roared furiously. Never. I've come here to take your head, Hanzo. You and your petty vengeance. Hanzo shook his head. They say your ability to manipulate the water element is comparable to the late Nidaime Hokage, Senju Tabarama. In fact, they are expecting you to become Nidaime's successor. Don't waste your talent here, Yahiko. I'd rather waste my talent here than to let you live. 10 years ago, you didn't evacuate your people and let them die in the crossfire between other villages and a megacur. I watched my parents die with my own eyes. They were good people. Yahiko took a tentative step forward and muttered frostily. And it was your fault. You led your own people to their demise. You're just a murderer, and I will take your life for what you've done to my parents. The Akatsuki unit materialized beside Hanzo unexpectedly. The leader of a megacur grinned proudly and jumped to the higher ground. Great timing. Yahiko and fellow Konoha ninja, I present to you my greatest weapons. I give you the Akatsuki unit. The troops shivered at the presence of Naruto, Konan, and Nagato. They had heard of the notorious achievements accomplished by the trio and their horrendous victory against the impossible. Yahiko was unwavering against a superior foe. Heh, I have always thought the three of you were just epitomes of exaggeration. We'll see. Naruto queried his arrogant smirk at Yahiko and clasped his hands together in a prayer motion. Mokuton. Shichuro no Jutsu. Wood release. 4-pillar prison technique. Columns of wood shafts emerged from the ground and enclosed the horde of ninja in a confinement, except Yahiko. Hoisting a hand upwards, Konan aimed it at the stupefied Jonin. You won't escape. Kami no Chokakan. Paper imprisonment swords. Konan distributed chakra into the moist air. Countless pieces of papers manifested from nothingness and hovered in the air before folding themselves into blades, encompassing Yahiko in a lethal trap. Yahiko was immobilized but made hand gestures at his subordinates. Nagato wittingly recognized the Jonin's motive and stared emotionlessly at the captured ninja. I don't know what you are planning to do, but I won't let you perform any tricks here. Onmyoten, Cage no Seijo. Yin-Yang release, shadow control. Yahiko and his subordinates' actions were restricted and they were confused. I have total control of your shadows. Your shadow equates to your form. Without your shadow, you cannot exist in this world. My mind now controls all of your shadow. Make one reckless move, and I can't guarantee you may live. Nagato crossed his arms. Yahiko groaned and seethed at his enemies. Jay, just kill us. Hanzo landed onto the ground beside Naruto and applauded. Such is the power of the Akatsuki unit. Now, kill them. The blonde smirked sinisterly. With pleasure. Shutting his eyes tightly, Yahiko awaited his impending doom. Shinra Tensei. Heavenly subjugation of the omnipresent god. This conversation is over, Madara. Yugura, a man with unkempt blonde hair, pink eyes that emanated melancholy dullness, and had a fondness for scarves, roared as he banged his table fiercely with his fist. Your era is over. The people have placed their trust on me. They have put their faith in me, and I'm not going to misplace those trusts so I can help you establish your malefic organization here in Kurigakure no Sado. Do you know what you're talking about? Really? This is a federal crime. Federal crime? I helped build this nation, Yugura. The Uchiha elder growled ferociously. You'll help me here, Yugura. This is me asking you nicely. Do it for me. I can't. The newly enlisted Mizukage stated calmly. Can't or won't? Both. Madara was impatient. I hope you didn't misconstrue my statement, but I won't accept no for an answer. Then what are you gonna do about it? Yugura glared vehemently at Madara. Let me warn you, if you do anything funny, I'll. This conversation is over. Manjukyu Sharingan. Hanzo coughed out globs of blood as he leaned against a piece of rubble, panting tediously. Traitor. Nagato's palm emitted smoke and he blew it away nonchalantly. You got it wrong, Hanzo. Naruto stepped forward and crossed his arms. We didn't sign up to join you and your tyranny. I've told you before. Our verbal contract is for the benefits for both parties. But now you have lost your importance. You've been using us to clean up your mess lately, relying on the Akatsuki unit to do your dirty work. It's the sign of your incompetence. You died years ago, Hanzo. Do you still not understand why you have to die here? What are you talking about? The blonde shook his head displeasing. Nagato, you know what to do. I understand. The Redeed nodded and unfolded his sleeves, revealing a few tattoos embedded onto his skin. Inserting chakra into one of the seals, a scythe, with a silver rod that had ancient language engraved onto it, and an elongated blade that curved inauspiciously, manifested into Nagato's grip. Sharply, the Redeed threw his scythe at Hanzo, and a series of chains extended from the tip of the weapon. Nagato controlled the fluidity of the scythe's trajectory by gripping the chain and performing a sweeping motion. Hanzo hastily formed a seal and mumbled. Shunshin no jutsu. The Redeed retracted his scythe back into his hands and smirked as the leader of Omegakure knelt on the other side of the cliff, desperately trying to catch his breaths. It seems this is the end for you, Hanzo. Don't act too cocky now, Nagato. Hanzo screamed before he shot out a barrage of flame bullets. Kaiten, Houkaru no Jutsu. It seems you just don't get it at all. The Redeed simply raised an arm and apprehended the fiery assaults, absorbing the dispersing chakra and harmonized it as his own property. Hanzo was dumbfounded by Nagato's preeminent ability. This is the Rinnegan's power. You cannot win, Hanzo. Weaving a few hand seals, Nagato pointed a finger laxly at Hanzo. Witness and despair, the forbidden jutsu that cuts one's life force. Onmyoten, Sakyase Namakanda no Jutsu. Yin-Yang release, creation devourer technique. A colossus dragon, energized by an illuminating purple energy and its scales radiating raw power, roared aloud as it materialized from non-existence and charged towards a defenseless Hanzo. Assuming the destructive nature was catastrophic, Hanzo was ready for the imminent explosion, but the dragon phased through his body. The next thing he knew, his soul was vigorously pulled out from his body and darkness soon enveloped his vision. Konan signed. I guess Hanzo's era is over, huh? Naruto stared at the dark clouds of distraught and whispered softly. Hanzo died years ago when he gave up his dreams of uniting the 5 nations in order to bring peace to the world. He died because he lost his faith. Instead of aiding those in need, he pillaged villages and enslaved the innocents. He had fallen into degradation that was beyond hope. He is no longer needed. Yahiko stammered. You red-haired guy, you must be the leader of the Akatsuki unit. We have heard of your exploits and how you never kill your enemies. Nagato raised a brow of confusion. Me? The leader? I'm not. But you're strong. The Jonin protested. I'm not nearly as strong as Naruto though. The Redeed jerked a thumb behind his shoulder, referring to the serene blonde who was gazing at the sky. You mean that guy is stronger than you? Nagato nodded in confirmation. Yahiko's eyes enlarged in disbelief. No way, this guy is definitely stronger. Granted that he did take down Hanzo with a sneak attack, he still managed to outmatch Hanzo. And Hanzo is never outmatched. Even Jiraiya-sensei and the rest of the Sannin combined were unable to defeat Hanzo. So how did they do it? How are they more powerful than Konoha's finest? How can that blonde guy be any stronger than this guy? The Sannin's strength is only mediocre at best when compared to their might against that Redeed. It's just not possible. They're monsters. Naruto-kun, the sky is still crying. Konan eyed the blonde quietly. I will make it stop. Today shall mark the day of our chronicles. If heaven is unwilling to aid those in need, then there is no need for orisons. We'll change this world by ourselves with our powers. Naruto swiped his arm, and the clouds were cleansed away, welcoming warm sun rays from the heavens. Nagato, wipe out those Konoha ninjas' memories. Make sure nobody remembers what happened today. They must never reveal the death of Hanzo to the public. Konan was intrigued. Why? If people realize Hanzo is dead, no doubt the 5 nations will claim this land as their own. This will make the situation more cumbersome. All 5 of the elemental nations will invade this land. More people will die and more lives will be wasted. We will reveal it when the time is right. Naruto stated, and his friends agreed. Nagato, do it. Yahiko was frightened as the Redeed turned his attention to him and ambled forward. No, stay away from me. Go away. No. A day later. Konan was seated on a couch, stroking the soft fur of a panda cub, which was nuzzling its body on her lap. You'll be leaving tomorrow? Yes. Naruto leaned against a wall and folded his arms, staring solemnly at his feet. Nagato has left in order to initiate our operation quickly. Our plans are reaching fruition. The blue-haired woman deadpanned and interrupted. Our plans are reaching fruition in a decade or so. It's far too long before that happens. Relax, Konan-chan. Naruto started to wave his hand almost theatrically. Nagato has gone to Komagakure because he's getting impulsive. Our plan is simple, no rush needed actually. We will establish liberation throughout the 5 nations. Nagato will earn the Raikage's trust and make them join our alliance. I will expand the alliance by allying ourselves with Kurigakure. That is only plausible if I go there myself and make sure the Mizukage trusts me. As for you, I will serve as the new chief of Omegakure, running the village and acting as Hanzo. Konan signed as a red panda climbed onto her shoulder and sniffed her cheek. What about the Tsuchikage, Kazekage, and the Hokage? 2 years ago, Naruto, only 13, had mastered all of his latent abilities and discovered the final path. The Chikyu grants those who possess the Rinnegan the capability of summoning any animal. Sweet. Now incorporating a few seals, the blonde pinned both of his hands onto the ground and smirked. Kuchiyus no Jutsu. Summoning technique. An accumulation of smoke erupted and the obscuring haze befuddled the blonde. There were humongous shadows that loomed all over the training terrain, and Naruto perceived a bloodthirsty aura lingering within the baleful ambience. The blonde waited with a placid fortitude as the smokes gradually cleared. Naruto could hear feral growls, voracious hiss, and irked grunts. Scratching his head, the blonde bellowed. "Hey. I didn't know I could summon quite a few of you, but I know you guys can talk. So talk." How rude. A gigantic snake, with white scales and lustrous golden tattoos decorated on its body, spoke with a feminine tone, and its eyes were affable. A child like you should know the proper etiquette. To address your summons with such ill manners is considered highly unprofessional. Sorry about that. Naruto sighed. Really sorry, so can we talk now? What's your name, Snake Lady? It is only polite to state your name first, child. Uzumaki Naruto. Shizuka, matriarch of the Snake Clan. The snake flicked out her tongue and spoke in a gentle voice. And for the record, I'm an anaconda, to be specific. Naruto saluted playfully at Shizuka, and she giggled. Roger, anaconda lady. A gigantic panda landed onto the ground before the blonde. Naruto was marveled by the bear's choice of clothing, which consisted only of beige-colored shorts. It started to punch and kick aimlessly at the air and performed a dramatic fighting posture. Hiya. 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 Ninja. Wata. Impo, the greatest kung fu master of the Bear's clan. I am awesome, I know. In fact, my awesomeness is so awesome I can blind the lesser beings with my sheer awesomeness. Get ready to feel my thunder. Okay, Naruto's eyelid twitched rigorously. You're the master of the Bear clan? Yes. It has been a while since someone summoned us. Po stretched his back muscle and grinned delightfully. Wanna hang out together sometime? Catch a ramen or something? The blonde cocked a brow of amazement. Do you like ramen? Beside bamboo, yes. Po raised a thumb up and his teeth sparkled comically. I practically invented that shit. I have a feeling we're going to become best friends. Naruto reciprocated with his signature good-natured smile. Growling with rage, a slender, yet enormous tigress marched towards Naruto with a stiff gait and sat beside the panda, throwing disgusted glares at Po. I am Momoka. You will address me as Lady Momoka, cub. I hope you summoned me for a reason. I do not intend to come to this world for fun and kicks. The only reason I'll be summoned is to fight for a worthy master. If you prove your worth to me, I expect to be rewarded with a bowl of tofu dish for every summon you attempt. I like it spicy, just so you know. I dislike the color white and blue. So you're the top cat of the family? No, I'm not. For some reason, you failed to summon my brother-in-law. My elder sister, Satsuka Wani-sama, is the mistress of our clan. Momoka Premonitions. She is much stronger than me and the rest of the cubs in our clan. Summoning her is not an easy feat, as you've failed to summon both my brother-in-law and Satsuka Wani-sama. Naruto nodded in understanding, but queried nevertheless. Are you a vegetarian? You know, with the whole tofu dish thingy. The tigress bared her fangs at the blonde. Is that not plausible? Yes, I am a vegetarian. It is a healthy diet. You're on a diet? Why? Do you have a problem with that? Naruto shook her head nervously. No. I mean, you can eat all the tofu you want. Wait a minute. Po exclaimed hysterically as he stared at Momoka. I'm half white, you mean you don't like me? I assumed I had already established that fact at an early stage. The tigress huffed pompously and Po dropped his head dejectedly. It was then a bipedal reptile stormed towards Naruto and its height towered over even that of Po's behemoth size. When the smokescreen stirred, a vermilion Tyrannosaurus, which wore a flamboyant scarf and a ribbon bow tied on the tip of its tail, bent down and sniffed the blonde curiously. I am Rikusu. You will address me as Princess Rikusu, am I clear? Yes, so which clan are you from? Rikusu grinned. I am from the Great Reptile Clan, boy. My clan originates from the trinity of the ninja race. We were once personal summons of the Rikudo Sennin until his demise. After the Rikudo Sennin's era was over, a civil war broke out within our clan, and my elder brother, Kyoryute, reclaimed honor to our nation. Kyoryute is the true leader of our race. I have a younger brother as well. But both of my brothers are bigger than me though. Whoa. That's some history you got for your clan. Bet you're pretty proud about it. You bet. The blonde switched his attention to the last attendant and raised an eyebrow. Spider? Tarantula. The gigantic spider corrected. It had a pair of huge distinctive eyes and 6 other smaller optical organs at the top of its head, a dark-colored body with orange tribal decoration on its frame. I am Kaori, queen of the spider clan. You must be my master. Yes, I am. You gross. Momoka jerked her head away in abhorrence at Kaori. Rikusu narrowed her eyes and felt revolted. I always hated spiders. I can't agree with you more. The tigress shifted uncomfortably. They're loathsome. Kaori looked away sorrowfully, and the blonde sighed in empathy. I guess Kaori is pretty much the same case as me when I was a Jinchuriki. Everybody detests her because of her appearance. She looks disgusting to others, but I know what's important. When I was a Jinchuriki, everybody hated me for what I am. It's the same thing for Kaori. Everybody hates her because of what she is. A spider. If I'm like them, I will only become a hypocrite. A hypocrite who has forgotten my past. I will not become someone like that. Momoka, Rikusu, I must disagree with you, Naruto yelled, alerting the rest of the boss summons. The tarantula was stunned. It's Lady Momoka to you. Whatever. I will not respect those who show no respect to others. Kaori might be ugly to you, but to me she's beautiful. Momoka and Rikusu glared at the blonde and roared in unison. Petulant child. Naruto stood unafraid of the tigress and the dinosaur's wrath. We shouldn't discriminate against our friends. Friends? Momoka mocked. You haven't proved your worthiness yet, cub. You haven't signed any contract with either of us. Shizuka intervened and slithered her way protectively around Naruto. Enough with this dispute. Go back to Manda, Shizuka. Rikusu spat when she emphasized Manda's name. I haven't forgotten how Manda betrayed my brother. He's my mate. I have to follow him. You betray me. Rikusu's vigor was enervated. I treated you like my own sister, Shizuka, and you left me. You left your homeland, and Manda? That bozo tried to assassinate my brother. Twice, to be ridiculous. Kyoryu, I tried to show sympathy and forgive Manda when your mate displayed his treachery to my brother. My brother knows of Manda's deceit. He knew everything, but he chose to forgive Manda. Because he regarded Manda as his own brother, and then you. Manda is my husband. I didn't want to lie to you, a white anaconda stared at the ground remorsefully. I'm sorry, Rikusu. Naruto simply stood there and watched agape at the commotion. Po sat beside the blonde and was munching a bag of popcorn. Yeah, you think our world is simple, huh? Not really, I tell ya. Not simple at all. Believe it or not, our planes of existence coexist with one and another. However, we form territories, much like humans do, to protect our kingdom. The 4 kings of the entire summon world are Kate the Lion King, Kyoryuger the Reptile King, Kamiko the Phoenix King, and Shizazu the Sea King. Their duty is to prevent wars. Whoever defeats one of them will become the next king. That's probably why Manda revolted against Kyoryute. So why didn't I summon them? Po shrugged. Legends foretell that only the descendants of the Rakudo Sennin are qualified to summon them. It is not just a privilege or honor for anybody to be able to summon the 4 kings. You need a little. Catching a glimpse at Naruto's facial features, the panda stroked his chin and examined the blonde's eye keenly. Much to his dismay, Po screamed manically and astounded Momoka, Rikusu, Kaori, and Shizuka. The tigress blanched in repugnance at the panda. Oh, shut up, half-white creature. What is it now? Rinnegan? Po pointed a shaky finger at Naruto. He has the Rinnegan. Kaori merely showed a visage of indifference. That explains how the master summoned all of us without losing all of his chakra. Normally, an ordinary human is only able to summon one at a time. He is able to summon all 5 of us. That is truly impressive. I think his Rinnegan has proven his worthiness, has he not, Momoka? The tigress growled. That doesn't mean anything, unless he defeats the 5 of us. Naruto tilted his head and smirked. Try me then. The ground shook dreadfully, and the blonde was confronted with a menacing aura produced by a malignant entity. Naruto scanned the area vigilantly and whistled in awe when a megalodon, a shark with monstrous proportions, in terms of size, emerged from the ground and vociferate telepathically with a feminine tone. Who dare summons me? Who dare brings one of the Yonku no Yumi, 4 emperors of the sea, into this pathetic world? Who is the one who has the audacity to summon me here? The blonde waved gleefully at the megalodon. It's me. Hello. I'm Naruto. Momoka whitened her eyes and snarled. It's Ryukyu-kuna. What is she doing here? Oh? Momoka-chan, it has been a while. The megalodon smirked at the tigress. The last time we met, you were still just a little cub. And you too, Kaori-chan. You're a mere spitterling when we first met. All of you have become so cute. Po folded his arms and huffed. And you didn't remember me. The shark grinned abnormally nefariously at the panda. Ah yes, Po-chan, I remember you. How could I not? Everybody's favorite teddy bear. Come, give Ryukyu-ni-chan a hug. Alright, everybody is thrilled. Naruto placed a hand on his hip and arched his brow. So you're Ryukyu-kuna, from what I've heard. And she's one of the 4 emperors of the sea, Ryukyu-kuna the Conqueror. Shizuka hissed with annoyance. She was once the Rakuto Sennin's greatest summoner, but she was so ruthless and cunning, the great sage had no choice but to seal her contract, forbidding anybody to summon her. Though sharks are still applicable for summons, Ryukyu-kuna remains prohibited for being released to this world. However, you have summoned her, child. You must deal with her then. After all, with your Rinnegan, you are the chosen one. Shizuka-chan, how hurtful. Ryukyu-kuna feigned hurt, but giggled. Do you really think a child like him can defeat me? I am Ryukyu-kuna, queen of all sharks, and the true ruler of the world of summons. Suiton, Dai Bakusui Shoha. Water release, great exploding water colliding wave. Momoka gritted her fangs and grunted. We are terrestrial animals. Water is not our preferable location. We will leave. No. Naruto announced firmly. I summoned you all. All of you are my responsibilities. I will protect all of you. And those who rebel against my orders, I will discipline them myself. You will leave when I command it. Putin. Indian boy Tatsumaki. Without even performing any hand seals, powerful cyclones encompassed Momoka, Kaori, Po, Rikusu, and Shizuka, shielding them against a gargantuan dome of water and supplying them with enough oxygen. They were startled by the blonde's arsenal of techniques. Submerged within the sphere of water, Naruto met face to face against Ryukyu-kuna, and she was shivering in ecstasy. A touching speech, that is. It has been a while since I've come here. You have given me the opportunity to wreak havoc on your world. Rest assured that I will make it painless for you. Suiton, Daikiden no Jutsu. Water release, great shark bullet technique. Don't underestimate me, shark woman. Hyoten, Daihiden no Jutsu. Ice release, great ice bullet technique. Threading a few hand seals, Naruto executed his assault from his palms and unleashed a shockwave of snow at Ryukyu-kuna, which she dodged effortlessly and swam towards the blonde. The grave collision caused a large impact within the liquid prison. I must say, boy, your Rinnegan has grown exceedingly. Even my previous master couldn't control his powers, but that doesn't mean anything. You won't beat me anyway. Become my dinner, Bo. The megalodon twitched, but to no avail, she was unable to move forward, twisting her attention to her tail. She was shocked when she realized her lower body was frozen with ice. Vexed by Naruto's assault, Ryukyu-kuna screamed scornfully at the blonde. How dare you do this to me? Unforgivable. Suiton. Synjikism. Water release. 1,000 feeding sharks. Damn it. I'm losing oxygen. Have to quickly finish her off. Summoning 6 of them is really taxing on my chakra reserves. Unleashing his depository techniques, Naruto blended wind elements within his grasp and thrust his hands forward. Putin, Misatsu go Kuroi Taifu. Wind release, murderous black typhoon. Ryukyu-kuna struggled to shatter the ice that was binding her while she caught sight of Naruto's malicious winds miraculously overwhelming her supposedly deleterious attacks. The vacuum within the typhoon absorbed all of the liquid molecules, effectively decreasing the water level drastically. Naruto clamped his hands together, and his chakra level surged before beatific crystals, augmented with extreme density, elevated upwards, and jailed the megalodon with spikes. Shoten, Amuatari no Jutsu. Crystal release, God's crossing technique. Cancelling his technique, the typhoon evaporated under Naruto's will. Ryukyu-kuna roared with rage and thrashed around. How dare you treat me like this? I am the queen of all sharks. Nothing can stop me. And the finishing touches. Konan, Hishaku no Jutsu. Steel release, steel wrap technique. Tendrils of steel enwrapped the megalodon securely and prevented Ryukyu-kuna from shifting. The Rakudo Sennin might not be able to tame you, but I can. It was at that moment spheres of water materialized beside an imprisoned Ryokoku Na, and from the liquid globes emerged 3 colossus entities. Naruto's disinterested attitude astonished his summons as a Liopleurodon, Plesiosaur, and a blue whale were levitating in the air, staring at the blonde from above. The Liopleurodon hovered in mid-air and scrutinized the situation at hand. Ryukakuna, I told you many times not to try to murder your own master, didn't I? Shut up, Shizazu. You have no right talking to me. The title of Sea King belongs to me. Ryukakuna antagonized with bitter disdain and spat. You're just a little bitch. After all these years, you still have a potty mouth, Ryuko-chan. The Plesiosaur spoke with a pleasant voice. You can save your patronizing, Konohana. And Sejimaru, you sperm, keep your sagacious mouth shut. The blue whale deadpanned. I'm not a sperm whale. I'm a blue whale. There's a difference. Do you think I give a shit about it? Let go of me. The Megalodon glared at Naruto, refusing submission. The Liopleurodon shook its head and turned his attention to Naruto. I apologize for my sisters. I'm not your sister anymore, you crafty little bitch. Ryukakuna interjected rudely. You have forsaken your identity as my elder brother when you schemed with the Rakudo Sennin behind my back to seal my contract. You're a coward, Shizazu. Alright, everybody, shut the hell up. Naruto screamed out from the top of his lungs as he blew out a figurative steam of annoyance. Pointing fingers at the new additions of his summons, Naruto exaggerated his actions by opening his arms. Do you guys want to do some formal greetings before we get down to the investigations? Because I have no idea what the hell are you guys quarreling about and what's with all these betrayals and backstabbing? So before you guys decide to cut some throats, mind talking like civil beings here for a sec? The Plesiosaur sighed deeply. I'm sorry, honey. I am Konohana, one of the Yonko no Yumi, and the queen of all sea serpents. The blue whale responded calmly. I am Sejimaru, a member of the Yonko no Yumi and governor of all whales within the vast ocean. And I'm Shizazu, the leader of the Yonko no Yumi and the Sea King. And the 3 of you are not surprised by the fact that I possess the Rinnegan, huh? Shizazu studied Ryukakuna's cage while he replied, his gaze fixated on the Megalodon. Only those who have the Rinnegan can summon the Yonko no Yumi and still stand there and talk to us like nothing happened. And I know you don't even feel tired for a sec. Unlike our previous master, your Rinnegan's true ability is chakra restoration. Naruto blinked. How did you know that? Sejimaru coughed purposely. I can sense an individual's chakra level, and I can gauge one's vessel's maximum chakra quantity. Your chakra level has already replenished itself automatically. That is the real reason why you can summon so many of us without breaking a sweat, even when the Rakudo Sennin is incapable to do so. I'm not a whale for nothing. And I can read emotions too. Frankly, I'm surprised that you're not surprised about me discovering the secrets to your Rinnegan, which is surprising. And if you're wondering, it was I who told Shizazu your ability through Tili Pack. I just can't pronounce that word right. This is the hammer of the gods, child. Shizazu discoursed. You must understand that the Rakudo Sennin has invented an add-on ability for his Rinnegan, which you probably have, as well. Because he failed to control my baby sister's juvenile attempts for freedom, he tried to dominate Ryuko-chan's mind by enslaving her instead. In doing so, she lost her sanity and became a mindless puppet. We were outraged, of course, and hence we terminated our contract with him. When he died, my baby sister regained consciousness. So. Naruto chuckled. Don't worry. I won't enslave anybody here. I only wish to humbly request one thing from all of you. What is it? The Plesiosaur queried, dubious about Naruto's intent. Your trust. The blonde smirked. We can't be comrades if we don't have mutual trust between each other. Shizazu chortled. Interesting boy you are. I guess we should just give you a chance. Konohana sighed in relief. Well, that's good news. So, what do we do with Ryuko-chan? Rakusu smirked and proclaimed. I suggest we just go back to our world, grab some weapons, come back here, hold the shark sideways, and just go all gangsta on her. Meanwhile, Momoka was nibbling on her mushroom paste bun enthusiastically. This is surprisingly good. Did you make this yourself, half-white creature? Why yes. Po grinned. Handmade and steamed good, I see you like it, huh? What about you, spider sister? Kaori nodded fervently. Yes, this is fabulous, Po-san. I have never tasted anything this good. Shizuka hollered earnestly. How did you do it? Get on a date with me, the three of you, and I'll consider telling you. The tigress, tarantula, and anaconda rolled their eyes. The Hokage, Tsuchikage, and Kazekage will play their roles later in the game. Knitting a sequence of hand seals together, Naruto slammed a palm onto the wall. Kuchiyus no Jutsu. A few smokes erupted beside the blonde, and a white, fluffy polar bear jumped into Naruto's embrace. Yuki-chan, glad to see you. Glad to see you too, Nai-chan. Do I get cotton candy today? The polar bear chirped excitedly, and its ears were flapping with joy. You will get it if you send this message to Master Po for me. Tell him to protect Konan-chan and a Megakure while I'm away. The polar bear switched her side at Konan, who was blushing with embarrassment. Got it. The cub nodded, licking her master's cheek, and disappeared into a puff of smoke. A green velociraptor wagged its tail and blinked anxiously at Naruto. Yo, what's up, brother? Summon me for something, yeah? Makan, I want you to deliver a message for me to Princess Rikusu. The raptor saluted. What's up? I'll need her to cooperate with the bears and help them guard a Megakure while I'm away. I'm counting on her. Will do. Ta-ta, brother. The velociraptor nodded and vanished into a cloud of fog. Lastly, a young snow leopard yawned and scratched its ears with its leg. This better be good, brother Naruto. I need you to ask Lady Satsuka to send some of her finest warriors to stay in our world. You don't need to do this for me, Naruto-kun. Konan stood up, and the panda sat on her head. Your safety is my priority. Besides, they have nothing much to do anyway. Naruto smirked and eyed the bored little cub. And told Lady Momoka to stay off the booze. She gets feistier than ever when she's on her period. Combined with booze, and that's a total disaster. The snow leopard giggled. Will do. And don't summon Mistress Momoka until next month. She is on her period. Got it. Naruto winked and watched as the cub morphed into chunks of fading smoke. Michi, Tsubasa the blonde addressed the panda and the red panda respectively, alarming them in the process. Go play outside. I need to talk to Konan-chan in private. The bears nodded and jumped out of the window. Naruto grasped Konan's hand and sighed. Listen to me, Konan-chan, I don't know how long it will take for me to return, and Nagato told me that you have something to tell me about. What is it? The blue-haired woman was uncertain as she averted her eyes away from the blondes. Konan-chan, I'm leaving tomorrow. If you have anything to say. Konan crashed her moist lips onto Naruto's, startling the blonde as he was caught in a passionate kiss. Tongues dancing within their mouth cavities, the blonde couldn't control her temptations any further and took the lead. Hoisting Konan up in a bridal-style fashion, Naruto brought her to his bedroom. The blue-haired woman simply stared into Naruto's warm pair of eyes and whispered huskily. You know what I want, don't you? I love you, Konan-chan. And I love you. That night, their bedroom was filled with moans and cries of both pleasure and bliss. Amik. Naruto's smile. Konan sat beside Naruto under a sheltering tree and eyed the everlasting granite sky painted across a Megakure. The backing wind brought mizzling rains and the air was clammy cold. The blue-haired woman snuggled together with the blonde for warmth as they waited for the downpour to stop. The thought came to Konan's mind and she asked in a soft tone. Naruto-kun, why do you smile all the time? Some of the ninjas working for Hanzo-sama think you're being very childish. Do you think I'm childish? Resting her temples on Naruto's shoulder, Konan signed. Not really. I think that's your best quality. The blonde chuckled. Smiling ceases stress. To me, a smile is a tool for both deception and charity. Oh? Konan arched a perplexed brow. Do tell. We're living in a time of despondence, Konan-chan. People don't smile anymore, not when they starve in their sleep. The dispirited men only await death to claim their souls. I choose to smile and be the joker for the people in need. The smile that tells them that somewhere in this world, there is hope. Naruto draped a hand over the blue-haired woman's shoulders and pulled her closer to him gently. My smile keeps me going. It pushes me forward. It pushes the people around me forward and keeps them away from despair. That's why I won't stop smiling. You're such a silly boy. Konan smiled. Naruto sighed. If my smiles can draw out that little glimmer of happiness from a man's heart, I guess it's worth it. Even if thousands of people patronize me, I will still smile. Because if I don't, who will? The blue-haired woman tapped her finger playfully onto the blonde's wrist and giggled. Then let me accompany you. I'll smile with you. I couldn't ask for more. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. If you want the next part of this story, let me know in the comment box. See you next time, till then sayonara.